Hi guys, so it's Kiss.Makeup and I'm here today because I wanted to show you guys a very simple way of how I achieve my box braids. I know I'm looking real crazy right now, but we're just going to ignore that because I'm doing this for the sake of the video. I wanted to give you guys a pretty in-depth, beginner-friendly video that you could use as a reference if this is your first time achieving box braids. I've seen a ton of different methods of achieving box braids, but for me none of those worked until one day I stumbled upon a tutorial that showed me this method. Unfortunately, I do not remember who the tutorial was by, but I'm just on here as a disclaimer. I'm not the first person to do this method, but like I said, I wanted to show you guys a very beginner friendly way of achieving these box braids. So I hope you guys will bear with me. This is a very complex video to film. I want to make sure you guys can see everything that I'm doing. So the first thing that I want to mention before I get into the tutorial is that right now I'm just redoing the front part of my box braids. So this is a little bit different than when I first installed the box braids. When I first installed them, I went ahead and washed and deep conditioned my hair. You want to make sure that your hair is clean so that you get the best application of your braids. They're going to look a lot neater and your scalp is going to be a lot cleaner. So if you are doing this for the first time, I definitely recommend that you wash and deep condition your hair. So now that we got that out the way, I want to go ahead and let you guys know what products I used if you want to use the same ones. So the first thing that I'm going to mention are different combs. So I used pretty much these two combs. I have a rat tail comb. I didn't use this to comb my hair. I actually just used it for parting, and I actually used this comb for combing out my hair and detangling it. I also use my curls control paste. You just need some type of waxy product. You can use an edge control. I know a lot of people opt to use jam. It's completely up to you, but you just want some type of product that's going to hold your hair together. So I opted to use the Curls Passion Fruit Control Paste. I also used a couple of hair ties and a couple of duckbill clips to separate my hair and keep it in place while I am braiding different sections of hair. This part is completely up to you which one you pick, but you want to use something to moisturize your hair so that it's not dry, because you will be keeping these braids in for more than a couple of days. I'm probably going to keep mine in for about a month, so I'm going to use some type of oil so that my hair doesn't get dry out. You also want to use Vaseline. I don't have the Vaseline in here with me, but I will show you what the Vaseline is for later in the video. So the last thing that you're going to need, that is probably the most important, is your braiding hair. You can opt for any kind that you can find in your local beauty supply store. I'm going to be using the Urban Beauty brand. Basically all you want to do is make sure that it says 100% Kanekolon hair. You don't want to use yaki hair because it has a silkier texture, and since we want these braids to be pretty coarse or appear more natural basically, then I'm going to use the Kanekolon hair in my tutorial. Take a few pieces of hair and I'm going to section them off. You're going to do this based on what size you would like your braid to be. So if you would like smaller braids, of course you're going to take a smaller section of hair, versus if you would like larger braids, then you want a larger section of hair. So I picked a section that's pretty medium size. I don't want my braids to be huge, but I definitely don't want them to be small. And once I have that section of hair, I'm going to go ahead and fix the ends so that they're not so even. And all you have to do is just pull at them a little bit. And once you do that, you basically make the hair uneven, and that makes it look a lot more natural once you braid your hair, because you don't want your braids to just start and then have a dramatic stop. So that's what you do. You just stretch the hair out pretty much. So once you have your hair stretched out, I'm going to go ahead and take this big comb and I'm going to do a quick comb through, and I'm just going to basically detangle my hair. So next I'm going to take some of my Jamaican black castor oil and I'm going to apply some of that onto my hair. You predominantly want to focus that oil at the ends of your hair because that is the oldest part of your hair, and that is also the part that gets the driest and will break off if you're not careful. So we're going to focus a lot of that oil on the ends of our hair. that I'm gonna do is take my rat tail comb, and I'm pretty much going to use it and section out where I would like my braid based on size. So with that in mind, I'm going to take a section here in the front. Section parted off. You just want to make sure that everything is the way that you would like it. As you can see, I took a pretty medium sized section of hair. And basically this is where we start using our waxy products. So I'm going to take some of that Curls Control Paste, and I'm just going to put that around the perimeter of the area that I will be braiding. So you want to put some on the front, on both sides, and in the back. And you're just gonna smooth the hair, and you want to proportion it to the center of your braid section, because that's where you would like your braid to fall. And once you do that, you're just going to take a very small amount and you're going to apply that near the end of the hair, because that's where it can tend to be kind of frizzy. So this is where we pretty much get down to the nitty-gritty, and this is where we begin the actual braiding process. So then you're going to take your section of hair, and as you can see, it's pretty much shaped like a horseshoe, and you're going to take the horseshoe and you're going to wrap it around the section of your real hair. So as you can see, we have 3 sections here. So we have 1, 2, and then the section of your real hair. And to start the braid, we're pretty much going to take this hair on the far left and we're going to wrap it behind the hair in the middle section. And then we're going to take the hair on the far right, which is your real hair, and we're going to wrap that around the middle section, going from the back. And once we do that, we're going to take just a tiny amount of hair from the far left section and add that to the middle section. So we're going to separate some of that hair from the far left and add that to the middle section. Once again, you're going to run your fingers all the way down to make sure that the hair is detangled. So as you can see, we've taken some hair once again from the far left section and added it to the section in the middle that has our real hair. That's so that we don't run out of hair. Then we're going to go back. We're going to take this section on the far left and wrap it behind the section in the middle. And then we're going to take the section on the far right and wrap it behind the section in the middle. And once again, we're going to do the same thing we did last time. We're going to take a little bit of hair from the middle this time and add it to the section that has our real hair. And once we've done that, we pretty much have all 3 sections proportionate now. So now we can just braid as normal. So we're just going one behind the middle each time. So left behind the middle, right behind the middle, left behind the middle, right behind the middle. And of course you want to remember to run your fingers all the way down the hair every couple of trials. That way you can make sure that you don't accumulate any tangles. But we're just going to repeat this process all the way to the end. So once again, left behind the middle, right behind the middle, left behind the middle, right behind the middle, left behind the middle, right behind the middle. As you move your way down, if you notice that the section that contains your real hair is beginning to get a little bit too thin and it's no longer proportionate, you can just take some from another section like we did in the beginning. So I take some, separate it, and add it to the middle, and then repeat the same process. Left behind the middle, right behind the middle, left behind the middle, right behind the middle, left behind the middle, right behind the middle. Braiding the hair all the way to the end. I want you to see that you're beginning to run out of hair. You can pretty much stop because we will be dipping the ends later. So this is a pretty good spot to stop in. I have about this much hair left, and we will be dipping this in hot water later, so they won't be looking this puffy and straggly. It'll look a lot better. So I'm gonna come back when I have finished more of my head, and then I will show you guys how I dip them. Understand how this dating naked show work. Like, I'm just not supposed to look down the whole time, and it's like for a couple weeks, and I'm just supposed to act like there's nothing going on here. How? So now that I'm finished with the section of hair that I was braiding, which is this entire front section that you have here, as you can see, is looking pretty crazy. This is where the scissors and the Vaseline will come into play. So in order to get rid of the straggly, crazy looking ends, what I'm going to do is take some Vaseline and I'm going to apply it onto each braid at the end. And then I'm going to dip it in hot water. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys pretty much what that looks like. you, once you dip your hair, it completely has a whole new look to it. As you guys know, this is synthetic hair, so basically dipping it in the boiling hot water pretty much seals the ends and it makes all the hair melt together in a sense, and that gives it like a much more sleek and straight look. You might notice that your braids are extremely tight and they might be painful, but this pain is only temporary. I believe my box braids were only hurting for about 2 days after I did them, and after that I was pretty much good to go. One quick tip that I want to give you guys before I end this video is to pull your braids up into a ponytail. I know a lot of times after people get their hair braided, they will let them hang down, but I found that pulling them up actually relieves some of that tension on your scalp because gravity isn't pulling your hair downward. Instead, it's like resting in an upward position, if that makes any sense. Basically, it relieves some of the tension on the braids and it's not as painful. So you guys should definitely try that out, and I hope somebody found this video useful. You guys have no idea how many times I tried to do box braids before I was successful at them. So if you are still finding it a little bit difficult, you should definitely keep trying, because once you get the hang of it, you got the hang of it. I started out doing these braids, I feel like I probably did like 4 of them an hour, and now when I redid the entire front of my head, it only took me about 2 hours. So definitely keep trying if you're not getting it at first, and I have no doubt that you too can achieve box braids. Thank you guys so much for watching.